Hello. So it's Willard and Dibs. Here comes Hunter Pence on the River Islands guest line. And is that putting too much pressure on you, Hunter? Like, they're 20 and 30. We're looking to you for some positivity here and make us feel better. Is that too much pressure?
Not really, man. I appreciate that. I like having that title, and I'm not going to lie. This is going to take some resilience as a fan, as a team, for the guys. This is tough, and I'm looking over everything, and it's been a head-scratching season for sure. But just look back to like before we started this season, guys, and tell me, like, we would have thought this is the deepest lineup and the best offense we've had in a long time going into the season. And if you're telling me we're the bottom three in war for position players and our offense is down this bad, and Casey Schmidt was having the season he's having, I would not have believed you. So we have that to look at and be like, well, we can expect more from some of these guys.
Yeah, I'm with you, Hunter, and I think that's a fair thing to say, which is nobody was, at least very few, were hot and bothered before this all started. So you mentioned that it's been a head-scratching season. I wonder if you could give us some specifics on what has you scratching your head.
Well, that's the number one. Like, obviously, I thought the biggest question coming into the season, and now we're deep enough to have an idea. And guys, just remember also, they could get hot. Like, they've taken some huge deflating losses that have been pretty tough. We've been outscored pretty bad, but we're seeing, Devers heat up a little bit. But the head scratcher for me is our worry was the bullpen, and the bullpen's been solid. The pitching's kind of, middle of the pack, and we're looking at, an injured Logan Webb who hasn't done what he can do. Malley and Hauser haven't been as advertised, but improving. But I think the bullpen has been a really kind of, I know we had the blown save and Ryan Walker didn't do what he did, but we've had some people step up, and, you're looking at maybe Randy Rodriguez coming in later and some arms that we have to look forward to in the future. But to me, the head scratcher is that we've played good defense. It's just that our offense has not been able to hit, and it's guys that have had a long track record of hitting well. And I know the work and what Hunter meant. He was a part of that Blue Jays comeback. They took off last year, and he is extremely smart, and the game plan is amazing. So I have a lot of faith that they're going to turn that around, guys. And I think when some of these hitters get going and you get back, a Logan Webb, and they dial some of that in, there's a chance they could rattle off a big win streak and get back in the mix. But right now, the head scratcher is just how many guys were cold at once.
And not only cold, but starting to snap out of it, but still not racking up the runs and, last in baseball in runs and bottom five in home runs. You don't draw walks and you never steal a base. Are those types of things, especially the walks and the stolen bases, are those at all fixable for this team?
The thing that I mentioned, when I was on the road trip is that you can't draw walks unless you're punishing the strike zone. So if you're not damaging your pitches, you can't just take strikes. Like, you scare the pitcher into walking because he's afraid to throw a strike. So when they start hitting homers and start putting crooked numbers and getting guys on, they get a little bit more tight and a little bit more afraid to just pound the zone, and then you can work your walk. So it's kind of a bit of a paradox there that you have to swing the bat well to get walks, and that's just the bottom line. So I do think that the offense is definitely something that can get hot and get going. So if there is a bright side, it's that these guys are going to turn it around. You can have a lot of faith. And if they don't, then if everyone's just having their worst season of their career, you can't really account for that. It's just tough. And but the bottom line is it's going to take some resilience from these guys. I know they're putting in the work, and a couple of those guys get hot. Hitting is contagious, and winning can get contagious. But also on the back end, and I want to give this is a long-winded answer, a lot of credit to the core four, once again, from my time of playing. When we got a lead late, those guys were so good. We're talking Jeremy Affeldt, Javi Lopez, Santiago Casilla, Sergio Romo. I think I mentioned him. But these guys were so good, and that literally builds so much confidence. And when you lose games late and you get a lead, it's the biggest crusher to your spirit, because all your effort, all your work, it feels like it's all for naught, and it can get you down. But they have some guys that can maybe fill that gap and get it going. They're going to have to just continue to really be tough and find a way to catch that hot streak, get the hitting contagious. And that's kind of the hope as a Giants fan and part of the Giants organization, is that the offense picks up and everyone kind of snowballs off of that.
Hunter Pence is with us here on Willard and Dibs 95.7 The Game. Hunter, I'm so curious about this dynamic. You've got a team that's got this high-priced, veteran-laden infield. They're struggling, and then there's also sort of the unexpected weirdness behind the Bryce Eldridge situation. All of those dynamics land on the lap of a manager who's never managed in the big leagues before, and that feels like a difficult recipe to figure out. What are you viewing from Tony Vitello in terms of how he's handling this and sort of if he's even equipped to handle this?
Well, I mean, no matter what team you're on, there's going to be tough situations, tough conversations, and I definitely think Vitello is equipped to handle this situation. He's got so many great minds around him that are there and supporting as well. You got Dusty Baker, Bruce Bochy there on a daily basis. You got Buster, all these guys, and Tony Vitello is extremely, extremely smart, impressive conversations. There's a lot of depth to him, and it's not just short term; it's long term as well. And obviously, he's competitive, and he wants the short term to win now, and they're going to fight till the finish. There's no doubt about that. That's just the competitor he is, to win every single game they can. But I definitely am highly impressed every conversation I have with him. I really think that he has just incredible ways to view not only the game of baseball, but life and the humans that are a part of what make a great baseball team. It's the human element. It's getting guys on the same page. It's backing people up. It's taking, pressure off of the players. They are pros. These are professional players, and it's a very veteran team. And, and when you have these rookies coming up, it's just part of the blend. It's part of the kind of cycle of baseball, and it's tough to get at bats when you're really pushing to get wins for a young prospect.
And you lead it right to Bryce Eldridge and the idea of development as a AAA everyday player or being up with probably better coaches and learning from Ron Washington. Where do you weigh in on how possible that is for Bryce to be up here and develop by only playing 3 days a week?
Yeah, I don't like that personally. And I'm not sure how they're going to figure that out, but you need to it's so hard to learn the big leagues. And this is a prospect that you're looking at being kind of a, franchise kind of guy. He's got that kind of talent. He's still so young. I would want him playing every day personally, but these are decisions. They know Bryce Eldridge. He's a very intelligent, kid. Every time I talk to him, he understands, the situation. But for me, I think you got to play. You got to play to get better. And sitting on the bench can really wreck your confidence because your timing gets off. You start missing a pitch here and there just because it could be the smallest calibration, and then you start questioning yourself. And that's the last thing you want, is him to not be able to get in rhythm. Because you're going to, when you're playing every day, you're going to have your 0 for 4s, you're going to have your slumps, and you get back in there and you're slowly solving it, and you kind of, you fine tune to the frequency of the speed of the game. And it's the same in AAA, whether you're in the big leagues. Like, there is a step to learn, but every day at bats, and you're going to have to learn to adjust on that failure, but you need to get another day after an 0 for. You need to get another day after, if you're never going to allow a kid to hit a lefty if he never faces a lefty. You got to give him the chance, and they'll solve it if you trust your scouts, you trust the talent of the player. You got to have confidence in him, believe in him, and give him the everyday at bats. We just have players that are ready to do it. Yeah,
I think that's a really fair answer, number one. And number two, I do get that while it was a self-made problem, the Giants had a little bit of a roster puzzle that was difficult on a nightly basis. But now, if with Ramos hurt, at least in the interim, I'm not understanding why the Giants haven't said, okay, puzzle solved. Casey Schmidt, for right now, you're our left fielder, and Bryce Eldridge, you're our DH. Do you understand why they keep saying this is still a puzzle when it feels like it's not?
Yeah, I mean, you can't ever really sacrifice defense like that, and unless you really feel like Casey can come in and play excellent defense. But, for me, pitching and defense is what wins, and, learning that on the fly is really tough. You're going to lose some games if you're missing balls and not getting those plays. So I still think it is a puzzle. This is why those kind of utility guys are so valuable that can be athletic and play tons of positions. Casey is incredible on the infield, and he's picked stuff up really fast. But jumping to the outfield, you don't want to put that weight on him and really the pitching staff, because that's their livelihood. You get a bad route, it's a hit. And you have a bad read. These are things that are a big weight on a manager to do to your pitching staff and to do to your player. Just like, hey, go figure out the outfield on the fly.
You mentioned pitching and defense, and also you talked about the core four and how they were so defined in their roles. How challenging is it for this team, this bullpen, to not really know their role?
Well, actually, they didn't have defined roles. They didn't like it. But in 2012, they did a chant. They had like the rotating closer, and it was like if there was righties up, Romo was in. If there was lefties up, Hobby was the closer. Romo ended up becoming the closer in the playoffs, but the run to get to the playoffs, they were kind of Boch was cycling them out and really just playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers with those guys. He knew how to get the right matchups, and back in those days, he didn't have to face three hitters. It was not completely defined roles other than you're going to get the tough lefties out, Hobby. Jeremy can probably get both. Casilla can probably get both. And Romo, you're going to face the righties. So they're going to have similar to those defined roles. Like you're going to be in high leverage. You're going to be in low leverage. If you don't like it, pitch better. And then you'll earn your way into the high leverage situation. So these guys are informed. I think they're honestly doing a really great job overall. The pitching can obviously get better. The starting pitching can get a little bit deeper, but the bullpen, once again, has been a little bit of the bright spot in my eyes. Like, it's been better than I expected.
Hunter, you're a perfect guy to ask this because I think you're a fun guy, an energetic guy, but also an intense guy. What's your take on how much chatting Willy Adames does out there on the field during the game?
It's definitely a balance, and he's taking accountability for the mistakes, but that's his personality. And it's hard to take away someone's authenticity, in my opinion. And look, they're gonna when you're losing, you're gonna look at everything you can do to blame. But if you take that away from Willie, do we, are we making him uncomfortable in his own skin? It definitely is a tightrope to balance. Do I love it? I wouldn't say I don't I hate it, but I think, in my opinion, you want your players to be free, to be authentic, but you got to be focused. So he has to hold that accountability. Hey, look, you can say hello and be your bright personality, because that's part of his charisma. That's part of his leadership. It's fun to watch when they're winning and it's going well, but when it's going bad, it's an easy thing to blame. And so be focused and compete between the lines. This guy shows up every day. He brings energy even when he's slumping, which is something that's really, really amazing. And, and he heats up and has his moments. He can be really clutch. So for me, I think that it's a little bit silly to be like, hey, now that we're losing, you can't be yourself, or to change that. So I do think, though, you have to address, we can't have you, losing focus in the moment. Dial it in. There's a balance. Be yourself. And he knows that. He's a pro.
Did you ever have a moment where you had a gaffe like that, where you forgot how many outs, or hidden ball trick victim or something like that?
I wouldn't say it's hidden ball trick. Definitely maybe forgot the amount of outs, but I always took the like if I didn't know exactly, I always acted like there was, it would be like if there was already 2 outs and I wasn't sure if there was 2 outs. I was like, let me make sure I'm ready to throw this just in case. And then read the body language, because it's a lot, 14 seasons, 162. Every now and then, you just you get a blip where you don't exactly remember. And, so it's happened before to me, and I was, one of the people who, I thought I consider myself mentally strong. So I never had a huge blip, but I definitely a couple times was like, I think there's 2 outs, but I'm not completely sure.
And the poor second baseman probably caught one in the ear as you come up throwing rockets from the outfield.
Well, I'm not just unleashing it, because you can see who you're throwing to, and if they start running in, you do your kind of crow hop, and then you act like you're just running in. You got to play it. You got to sell the sizzle.
Hunter, I'm trying to remember. Hey, when did the outfielders all start getting together to do some sort of a coordinated deal after a win? Were you still playing when that started?
Yeah, I think we always had the jump, and we would all have a competition who could get the highest, and try to get the picture in the newspaper. Make sure to pick your legs up so it looks like you really jumped high. And we were doing kind of the basketball thing, the nuts, the hugs, and it's fun. It's part of the entertainment and the joy and the camaraderie, and coming up with new things and handshakes, and those are each season has its own kind of spice, so to speak. And the humping, I thought that was fun, but I guess I can't do that.
I was going to say, what would you do if Drew Gilbert came up to you and said, all right, Hunter, here's what we're doing if we win this game tonight?
Oh yeah, I'd be like, I'm down. Let's go, baby. What do you need?
You know what? I should have guessed that.
Whatever it takes, fellas, whatever it takes. And, hey, they were winning at that point. We got rid of the thrust, and then we fell off a little bit.
Yeah.
Bring the thrust back.
Thrust free of late.
Let Gilbert thrust.
There's a bumper sticker.
Let them thrust. That's going to be at the Giants memorabilia station tomorrow night. I got it. Hey, Hunter, before you go, what do they do about Trevor McDonald, dude? This guy's pitching his butt off, but what happens when Logan Webb comes back? What would you do?
He's got to be on the team. He's pitched too good, man. You got to find a way. When you pitch your way into the lineup, you earned it. And until it's a game of play good. So he's playing good. Find a way to keep him up there.
You're the best, man. I'm going to let everybody know who's bothered by the hip thrust that you're okay with it.
I'm okay with it. This is fun. It's entertaining. So thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Hunter, before you go, we do want to shout out the Healthy Planet Project because our boss came in and said, look, make sure you mention it. That's a great thing. We love the earth. We need it. So give us some time. Talk to us about the Healthy Planet Project, Hunter.
Well, yeah, just check out healthyplanetproject.org if you want to get out and join the community. We do different tree plantings throughout the year and picking up trash and coming together and just hanging out. So if you're interested in that sort of thing or getting active, we also have the Get in the Game Challenge where you can log community hours that you put in. This is just kind of a little incentive to go out and join the community and help out in the Bay Area neighborhoods. And you log the hours, you get rewards. So the top the top hour, service members will get to join me for a Giants game later this season. So there's some cool prizes along the way. So do good and get rewarded. That's the plan.
Love that. Fantastic. And by the way, also, any coffee recommendations? Anything you want to tell us there?
Oh, I mean, like St. Frank's is the bomb in San Francisco. There's a lot of good coffees, though, coming around. You can hit up St. Frank's, the coffee movement, just a beautiful spot, a couple spots from St. Frank's, and I love the owner there. He's always treated me really well, and all the management and the staff. So good people and good coffee.
What are you, about 4 cups a day on the average?
So at least a pot minimum, and then it just depends.
Man, you're still putting a pot together?
Oh, that's just baseline. Like a lot of times when I'm doing the broadcast, they can't believe how much coffee I'm drinking. I don't know. It's just I have water too. It's like hydrate and caffeinate. Nobody's gonna out caffeinate us in the booth.
That's another good goal.
Hydrate and caffeinate. It's another T-shirt.
Hunter, thank you, man. Appreciate you.